listen there. Great game. 50 seconds to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hold in, Devontae.
Sure.
And before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, as we are every Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. Make sure you smash that like button, share button, retweet button. You know the drill. If you want to interact with the show, best place to do that are on the DSM Media Facebook and YouTube page. That's where you can get your comments, your questions, and your thoughts put up on the screen, just like these examples I've got up on here. That is the place to do it. And if you're watching over on the YouTube page, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And if you really want to do us a favor, hit the notifications, turn the notifications on so you don't forget when we go live. As our man Mark, who is a little busy today, he might join the second half of the show. As he says, just plug it into your car. This is the best morning show you can listen to on your way to work. So just plug it into your car, turn it on YouTube, play it through the sound system of your car, and listen to the best morning show there is. I am Phil Stiefel, your host. You can follow me at Bearded Knowledge on Twitter, and my partner in crime, Mr. Jason Voorhees, at Mustaine3651. Good morning, Jason. How you doing today?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Jeff, I don't remember. Did you work this weekend a lot?
Yeah, it was early Saturday, and then late. I worked last night, so I obviously missed the All-Star game.
Yeah, I mean,
not like I missed anything really.
Exactly. So today, you know, it's Overreaction Monday today. So we're gonna do some overreacting today. We're gonna talk a lot of different things. We're gonna talk All-Star Weekend, obviously, not just the game itself on Sunday, but more importantly, the Saturday night, you know, skills competitions and just the complete, you know, sham that it is. We're gonna talk a lot about that today. We're gonna talk. We got, you know. This is like a sticky part in sports. We don't have baseball happening just yet. Football's over. The new season hasn't started. There's no basketball till, you know, basically next week. I think what's Friday, James Harden's debut with the Sixers. I mean, we have a stretch here. You know, it's going to be interesting this week with shows and what we talk about. But you know, I think we got some interesting topics to talk about because, like I said, the NBA All-Star stuff, more rumors with the Eagles and quarterbacks that we're going to bring up, and how I just think it's a stupid rumor. And people are overblowing it. And I want to talk with James Harden coming in and about to play his first game later this week in Philadelphia about biggest trades in Philadelphia sports, good or bad. Okay. And what they meant, like, you know, I got just throwing like T.O. coming in, you know, getting traded to the Eagles and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about those a little bit today. Maybe if we have time, maybe shout out a little bit of the Major League Baseball and the lockout and just that whole entire debacle that's going on as well. But today is Overreaction Monday. Like I said, we are brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT in below-the-waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM at checkout. It gets you 20% off, free shipping, and lets them know Team DSM sent you. So anyway, All-Star Weekend, Overreaction Monday. Hashtag it all over Twitter today. Hashtag Overreaction Monday. The All-Star Weekend has become a sham, has become a shell of its former self, has become just a total waste of time, especially, I'm specifically talking about Saturday night. The All-Star Dunk Contest, the three-point contest, the skills competitions, the Rising Stars Challenge. I mean, it wasn't as bad, but I mean, I'm going to zone in mostly on the dunk contest. And, oh my God, I know you said you didn't watch it, but you are a better person, Jason, for not watching the dunk contest. And let me tell you, first off, we had Opie Toppin, we had Juan Toscano Anderson, we had Cole Anderson, and Jalen Green. First off, none of those four names make you want to watch a dunk contest, do they, Jason?
I don't even. Yeah.
Do you know who any of those guys? I mean, I know who most. I know who most of those guys are, but you know.
I didn't recognize any of those names, believe it or not.
Jalen Green was the number 2 pick in the draft last year. He's a rookie for the Rockets. Juan Toscano Anderson, nobody really knows because he's, you know, he plays for the Warriors and he's not one of the big stars on that team, so he's not the, you know, the face of that team. Opie Toppin, a Knick. Only reason why I know who he is because he plays for the Knicks, and you know I hate the Knicks. That's just ingrained in my blood. And Cole Anthony, I just know him because we just played the Sixers. The Magic just played the Sixers a couple times, and he kind of pulled a Paul Pierce and had like this magically, awful injury, carried off into the locker room, and then was back out in the court like 10 minutes later. But these guys, that the lack of star power that the slam dunk contest brings, I mean, it's pathetic. The last big star, I mean, I know the Aaron Gordon versus Zach LaVine dunk contest a few years ago, everyone talks about as the last great dunk off, and that's true. But honestly, at that point, Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon weren't superstars yet in the league. They were still rising stars at that point. So the last time you had a real superstar in the dunk contest was probably Blake Griffin when he was like dunking over a car and stuff like that. But man, I mean, you even had the announcers. I got home from work like right at the start of like the 3-point contest. I watched that in the dunk contest, and even the announcers. I mean, they were bashing it. TNT pays how much money to air all those festivities on Saturday night. All the announcers just straight trashing it the entire time. I think it's really legitly time for the NBA to sit down and look hard at how they can fix Saturday night or just do away with it altogether.
I mean, I realistically think all leagues need to do that to a certain extent. I mean,
do it away with it or rethink them?
Look at what they're doing in these all-star games / skills competition weekends. Because I'm not going to lie to you, the same issues are happening in hockey. Like, there are certain things that I enjoy watching as far as fastest skater, the accuracy shot, where they have
I don't know if they still do it because I haven't watched an NHL All-Star Fest weekend in a while. Do they still do like hardest slap shot?
Yeah. So
I was always fascinated with how hard those guys, when they're just winding up and hitting it as hard as they can.
Yeah. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that and we did a poll, I forget what show I was on. It might've been Fired Up, where we kind of ranked the all-star game / competitions in all leagues. Mm-hmm. And to me, and I've said it numerous times, baseball is still the most realistic, their all-star game. It happens in the middle of the season. It's not at the end of the season like the NFL. It's basically, the best players. Obviously, you could argue that a lot of times players that get voted in shouldn't, be there, and there's guys that get that happens everywhere. But to me, baseball's still the most pure, realistic out of all of them, out of all of the all-star games. The home run contest is awesome. Like that, yeah, I enjoy every year. Absolutely. So I will say that.
But see, some stars still show up. The stars actually show up for the home run.
Well, and that's my point. So while baseball can't get anything else right, that might be the one thing that they do well with is the All-Star game. But then you have, obviously, like I said, the NBA, which has become a joke. The NHL is really just become a joke. And we've talked about the Pro Bowl. Like, I haven't watched the Pro Bowl.
I did not watch 1 second of it. Not
so
at all.
This is where I agree. I think all leagues have to look at this and take a hard, fast look in the mirror and say, what are we doing wrong? What can we do better to attract people that don't normally watch this? Yeah. Because you're not attracting anybody. First of all, you're alienating the people that actually enjoy it, like the dunk contest. And then you're not getting people like me that really have never realistically watched. The last dunk contest I probably watched was back when Spud Webb was playing, just to give you an idea.
You're old, yeah.
Well, I'm an old man, so. But my point is that you're not getting anybody new to check it out, and that's a problem.
I actually love this. This is not one of my ideas because I've got some ideas to spice up NBA All-Star Weekend. Bringing in YouTube dunkers for the dunk contest from Don Conway, your Drunk on Ice co-host. That's a fantastic idea. I do like that. Or have 2 YouTubers versus 2 NBAers and have them go dunk for dunk. First off, so for those that didn't watch the dunk contest, you get 3 attempts at your first round dunk, okay? And they don't count your attempt until your arm's coming down. So we had multiple dunkers get 15, 16 tries to do one dunk. Let me tell you something. You're watching one guy try to pull off, and these dunks that they're trying to pull off are insane because, I mean, every cool dunk has been done. So they have to try to up the ante, and they try to push the limits on what they can do. But giving a guy 15 tries because his arm wasn't coming down, you could just hear the energy in the stadium just completely zapped. So the rules themselves of the dunk contest have to be changed. But you got to get stars. You got to get people. Look, no offense, Cole Anthony or Juan Toscano Anderson. Nobody in that audience had any idea who these guys were, unless you're a super NBA fan. If you're a casual, you go to NBA All-Star Weekend because you're a casual fan, and you don't care about these guys.
Here's a question. So the dunk that Joel Embiid had last week, that friggin' amazing dunk,
that would have won the dunk contest.
Exactly. Why wasn't Joel Embiid in there?
There were better dunks from the stars in last night's All-Star game than the actual dunk contest. Sadly, the Pro Bowl had higher ratings in Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Damn, that's pathetic to hear. That's really bad. So here's my first way to fix it. First off, they were talking about it on the broadcast on Saturday night. I have no life. Saturday night, I get home from work after a 12-hour day. I sat down on my couch, I cracked a beer. I turned it on because there was nothing else on TV. I wanted to find something else to watch. There was just nothing better on TV at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. So I've been saying it for a few years now. Now I've got a bigger voice, a bigger audience. I'm going to keep pushing that this is the way you get stars into the dunk contest. Whether you want to do stars versus YouTubers, like Don has said there, or if you just want to get stars in general to be in the dunk contest. The NBA, obviously, just like the NFL, they make billions of dollars in the NBA. Agreed? I mean, yes. Yeah, it's a super rich. You telling me that some of the stars, you go put a $10 million purse to a player's charity on the line for the dunk contest. You're telling me LeBron James might not try? I mean, now at this point, he's a little older. But if there's $10 million on the line for LeBron James's, boys and girls school, he's not going to give it a shot. If $10 million on the line, that, any of the superstars in the league, Giannis, these guys are going to turn out, because if they say, nah, I don't want to do it, even though there's $10 million on the line for their charity, I don't know if 10 million is the right number. Maybe you go up to 15 million. I know the NBA can afford it. Put $10 million on the line and see if the player for your charity and see if the stars show up.
What's up, Scotty?
Do you think it would be embarrassing if then the players didn't show up still to the dunk contest? Then I think then you got a serious issue with maybe, putting it aside and getting rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you nailed it. You need stars. Yeah. I mean, listen, that's what this is supposed to be all about. That's what the All-Star Weekend is. I mean, that's why they have the Rising Stars competition, because they're guys that are growing in to become stars, or maybe are close already, or maybe could be a star in year one. Like, the bottom line is you got to get your head around what will drive traffic, what will get more people to tune in and view. I'm going to be more apt as a non-basketball purist. I'm not. I've told you I'm not super knowledgeable. I've gotten more into it, obviously, as the Sixers have gotten better. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about basketball and learning the game. But so someone like me, you're definitely not going to get my attention when you have guys that I've never even heard of in a dunk contest.
But I'm telling you, if it was LeBron James versus the Greek Freak on Saturday night, you might have tuned in. Or
even Embiid. If Embiid was it, if anybody great was in there, I would have tuned in. Yeah. Even if it was for 5 minutes, just to say, wow, I want to see excitement. It's the same thing in hockey. You want to see those stars. You want to see the Connor McDavids, the guys you don't normally see on a week-to-week basis. I mean, we're in the U.S. We don't watch Edmonton. We don't get a lot of the Canadian games, obviously. Yeah. But Connor McDavid, he's like a guy that every time he's on the ice, he does something that's wow. That's what I want to see. I want to see LeBron James. I want to see Steph Curry. I want to see this stuff. And when you're not having that in an all-star game and and your skills competition, has basically become third rate, so to speak.
You look at the NFL. At least the Pro Bowl skills competitions, the dodgeball, Darius Slay was in, Russell Wilson was in the quarterback challenge. I mean, the stars were performing in the challenges, not in the NBA. The other thing I was thinking about on the dunk contest, and I want to get into 3-point contest too in a minute. The dunk contest, a game of horse. I mean, you know how to play horse, right? You make a shot, I got to match you. A dunk contest based around horse. So I go up and I make a certain jam, you've got to match it. I mean, I'm just trying to be creative in ways to excite it because, look, let's be honest. Now it's become about the show, like wearing the NFTs, putting on capes. Dwight Howard and Blake Griffin years ago made it so much about the show portion of it. Now all these other players, they can't get the stars, so the non-stars are trying to make it about the show too, and they're not able to actually complete the dunks they're trying to do. So maybe a game of horse, like a one-upsmanship kind of thing, that might be the answer. If you can't get the A stars, maybe the B stars will show up for a game of trying to one up the other person.
Yeah, I mean, they're like I said, they definitely got to look into it. And what's this dunk contest needs to go.
I mean, Drew, we're getting close to that point. Like I said, if some of the ideas don't work out, definitely something else I've been wanting to see, and I've been talking about this for years, but now again, like I said, I have a bigger voice. Is a 3-on-3 instead. I mean, I know Don saying it's got to go back to East versus West. That's fine if they want to do that, but I want to see some 3-on-3 street ball tournament style. LeBron, and two guys going against Giannis and two guys, first to 11. Street ball, half court ball. Take it out past the line. I always think that would be a little bit of more fun.
That would be really cool.
You could do on All-Star Weekend. You can have 6 or 8 3-person teams, and just like do tournament style. Do a 3-on-3 tournament. And I'm telling you, if I get to see LeBron going 3-on-3 against Giannis's team, or Joel puts together a 3-ball team, Ben Simmons puts together a 3-ball team. Yeah. Can you imagine the Ben versus Joel in the finals of the 3-ball tournament? Come on now. That's something
that would be a dream scenario.
And they were joking on Saturday night, and they were joking about it, but it's something that I've been preaching for years, is that the 3-point contest is actually the premier contest on Saturday night. I mean, actual stars and all-stars show up for it. I mean, this year it was won by Karl Anthony Towns. And I'm going to tell you something. I've not watched much Karl Anthony Towns because he plays in Minnesota. We see him twice a year. I don't see him. The dude, for a 7-footer, man, I did not realize he's got such a smooth stroke. I mean, the guy could shoot for a 7-footer. He's a better shooter, obviously, than Joel Embiid. But you got Luke Kennard. You always have a white guy, a white shooter. You got Karl Anthony Towns. You had Trae Young, all-star starter, C.J. McCollum, Patty Mills. Zach LaVine was in it. Fred VanVleet, another all-star, and Desmond Bane. You actually had stars and some, I don't want to say non-stars, but like guys that every single name on that list, people know who they are. And let me tell you something. They keep tweaking it. They didn't need to. They're adding 3-point balls and money racks and this and that to kind of spice it up. And they were giving, Karl Anthony Towns all this props for setting the record for most points. Well, when you're adding so many 2-point and 3-point shots instead of just 1 point for every bucket, of course you're going to break the records. But it's still the number one thing. I mean, there's a reason why Curry has won it multiple times. Klay Thompson, because the big name guys want to go out there and show how they could shoot. Because, obviously people care about, 3-point shots as much as dunks nowadays in the NBA game. Should the 3-point contest close out All-Star Weekend, at least until they fix the dunk contest?
Yeah. I mean, if it's the best, you always should have you should always have your best, what's the word I'm looking for? Your best segment or your best, scenario should be last, obviously. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, baseball realistically only has the home run contest in the All-Star game. But if baseball had multiple.
Hey, they got the softball game, the celebrity softball game.
So, but I'm saying if they had more, I know. Obviously, the home run contest would still be your last, obviously, on the day before the All-Star game that night. And that's what it should be in any of these sports. But like you said, I think it's going to take a complete revamp Whether they get rid of it totally or whether they just look at it and reassess what to do with all these, situations, because you obviously aren't doing the right things because you're not getting the people.
I mean, and the 3-point contest doesn't need revamped. It's obviously effective. Stars show up, and you can't do this in the dunk contest per se. But I would love to see the 3-point contest include 2 Hall of Fame type players as well. You throw out there Steph Curry or C.J. McCollum or all the guys that were there today, this weekend. Pull out, Luke Kennard or, pull out, I'm looking at the list again here, Patty Mills. Throw Reggie Miller, throw Ray Allen, throw Larry Bird, any of those guys into the 3-point contest. Those guys, I bet you could still go out there. And if you want to make the 3-point contest the closing act, you get 4 or 5 of the best 3-point shooters you can, and you go through Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, any of those veterans, those Hall of Fame level players into the contest. I'm telling you, you will have ratings like you've never had on All-Star Weekend. Bro, I would literally make sure I was off to see Larry Bird out there going one-on-one with Seth Curry. I mean, I don't know about you, but that would excite the hell out of me.
Bro, David Stern needs to be on the phone with you right now. Like, come on.
David Stern's not the commissioner of the NBA. Adam Silver is.
Well, Adam Silver.
He hasn't been for a long time.
Well, one of them. Anyway.
Yeah, whoever he is. Yeah. Hey, NBA, call me. I got you.
I'll
fix NBA weekend.
He solved your issues.
I got them all solved. I've just laid out a plan here to make it. We haven't even talked about the game itself. And just like I talked last week at the end of the week on the shows, the All-Star game itself, Don says bring it back to East versus West. That's fine. If you want to keep it where you got the captains picking teams, that's fine too. That really doesn't do anything for me. The thing with the All-Star weekend that's, crazy at the game itself is for the first 3 quarters, it's just jacking up 3-point shots. Yeah, I know. Exactly. I was trying to avoid that one. Yeah, he passed away, Jason. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was a bad one.
I wasn't positive, but I was pretty sure about it. Yeah. Back to it. So the first 3 quarters, there's no defense played. It's just layups, dunks, and 3-point shots uncontested. And it shows that in the first quarter, there was 92 total points scored, 95 in the second, 90 in the third. But there was only 46 points scored in the fourth quarter. Because all of a sudden, in the fourth quarter, these teams want to win, and they start playing defense, and they start caring. And yesterday, during the game, again, I watched minutes of it, not much of it. Was out with family and friends and stuff yesterday. Joel Embiid dominated for his team. Team Durant that lost 163-160. Showed up 36 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. He basically was the best player on his team, and rightfully so. But Team LeBron, Steph Curry, again, showing why he should be in the 3-point contest every single year. He made 16 3-point shots yesterday for 50 points. I mean, that's insane. The guy is just unbelievable.
Hall of Fame.
But the game itself, again, I mean, it's fun, it's entertaining, but until the fourth quarter, it's meaningless.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the problem is none of these all-star games besides baseball are realistic. They're not.
No.
Because there's no defense played.
Yeah.
There's just not the effort given that you would see in a normal contest. And that's part of the problem. Like, I remember, and I know they did away with it in baseball, but I remember at one point they were making whoever won the All-Star game.
I hated that. I hated it.
Well, see, you hated it, but it was an incentive for players to care. This is what I'm saying. I'm not necessarily saying they had to do that, but there's got to be something that you can implement, like whether it's, I mean, cash to me talks. I mean, maybe you
cash to charity. I think cash to charities talks, in my opinion.
Well, then do something
because these players make millions and millions of dollars, and another $1 million in their pocket. It's whatever, But you talk about big money. Like I said, $10 million for the slam dunk contest champions charity. I'm telling you, players will show up for it. You want to do it on the All-Star game itself? Put a huge number, on the line for charities.
There has to be incentive.
There has to be an incentive.
because
you can't put the home court advantage for the finals on the line. Like, I just think that's kind of unfair. But you got to put some kind of, and you can't put a small incentive. You got to put a major incentive on the line in all these sports, in all of them, for it to really mean something to these guys.
Yeah, because like I said, the effort is like the Pro Bowl is the worst, and I know that there's no way that they could put it in the middle of the season. I get that because it's the NFL, injuries. I understand all that, but my point is the fact that it happens at the end of the season and half the players don't even show up because a lot of them are in the playoffs. Like Cooper Kupp wasn't there. Like that to me sucks, and that's part of the reason why the Pro Bowl is so garbage. Like in my opinion, it's just not. And realistically, it's almost even become like, you know how like it used to be like when players would retire and like they would go in the Hall of Fame and you would see some of these guys that had like 15 Pro Bowls. It meant more then. Like now it's like it doesn't even like you make the Pro Bowl, dude. Like everyone makes the Pro Bowl because of that. Because of the fact that
I think I've been nominated twice for the Pro Bowl, but I chose not to go. So,
but that's what I mean. Like there's just not, it's not the same. It doesn't have the same value. So like, you know, say 20 years ago, you know, when it meant more, guys like Ray Lewis and like Brian Dawkins, like those Pro Bowls meant something. But like I said, these guys today, a lot of them don't even go, and then they vote someone else in. Like, you know, I don't know. I would have to get a list.
Don's on fire with great ideas right now. Have the Pro Bowl, the two worst teams play for the number 1 pick in the draft. I mean, sure. That would have been Detroit and Jacksonville this year. I think
that's a great idea, actually.
Don's on fire. I got to get Don on a show. You know, once summertime comes and he's not in school, you know, teaching every single day, we will get Don on a few morning shows for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea.
I think he's all President's Day today, right?
I'm gonna have to ask Jason, my golf co-host, what he thinks about Detroit playing another game this year, and see what he would have thought about that.
I think school's out today.
Oh, is it?
Don's probably off. It's President's Day, isn't it? Today?
Is today President's Day? Oh man, I better get to work. That means today's gonna be busy. Anyway, so let's move on. So NBA All-Star Weekend, obviously, you know, a travesty, but there's potential there. Oh, real quick, one other thing, and I know you said you didn't watch Saturday night, you know, festivities, but we all agreed that the halftime show at the Super Bowl was spectacular, right?
Yeah, loved it.
Absolutely one of the best. You know, great. They nailed it whatsoever. Saturday night, they do something similar every year. This year, it's the third time DJ Khaled, you know, led a group of guys on stage and girls, you know, to perform. For as great as the NFL got it, the NBA, that was probably one of the worst musical performances that you could have put together. And if it wasn't for Ludacris coming out at the very end, it would have been a complete bomb. So I say it, I got so many tabs open on my screen here. Let me see. So it's DJ Khaled. You had Lil Wayne, Ludacris, Gunna, Migos, Mary J. Blige, Lil Baby. But let me just say, can I just say that I don't get DJ Khaled. I just don't get him. Basically, you got all these rappers out there, Mary J. Blige, all these other guys, you know, doing their thing. And some of them are good, some of them aren't. Some of them aren't my cup of tea. I prefer the old school guys to the new school guys. But all he does is shout and scream over the other guys. If you get a minute, Jason, go back. I know there's YouTube videos of it. Go watch 5 minutes of this performance. And all it is DJ shouting over the other performers. It was awful. It was just straight awful. Awful.
I will check it out.
It was awful. I got to throw that out there that I was just literally so annoyed by. You just saw how you put together a collection of great artists and do it well at the Super Bowl. You put together a collection of really good artists, which, again, not my taste of guys for the most part outside of Ludacris. And just, yeah, I know he's a DJ, Scotty. I know. But he didn't need to be front and center. Let the actual performers perform. You know, I just think he ruined what could have potentially been a really good performance because he makes it too much. Yeah, exactly. He ruined it. I'm just going to throw that out there. I was embarrassed. I thought it was a terrible performance. So anyway, it is, like I said, Overreaction Monday. Hashtag Overreaction Monday on Twitter, guys. I want to continue going on here with some other topics. I want to get into, real quick, Eagles rumors. And I think, you know, I think the latest rumor from this weekend with the Eagles is the epitome what overreacting is in sports. Because Albert Breer, NFL reporter, put out a rumor there that the Eagles are looking at Jimmy Garoppolo and that they're on the board trying to get Jimmy Garoppolo here. Now, first off, before we overreact to the overreaction there, if people read the statement and article, he did not say Howie Roseman is on the phone trying to get Jimmy Garoppolo. He said Jimmy Garoppolo is available in trades, and I think the Eagles will probably be interested in at least making a phone call. So everybody is overreacting because they're seeing the clip, the headline, Eagles, Jimmy Garoppolo. They're not actually reading the report, and that's the overreaction. So first off, when you're going to overreact to a rumor, make sure it's an actual rumor and not just someone's opinion on teams that are interested or could be interested in a player. Exactly. They confirmed they're not interested. I don't know if they confirmed or not, but the report doesn't say that they've called already and inquired, just that if teams that are interested in quarterbacks, the Eagles are one of them, so they'll probably, make a phone call. Dude, Overreaction Monday's about overreacting. Everybody overreacted all weekend long about Jimmy Garoppolo being the next quarterback in Philadelphia, when all of it is Albert Breer saying, here are the teams that need quarterbacks. Here are the key quarterbacks that might be available. Let's just line them up.
Dude, it's straight nonsense. I mean, this is the problem in this day and age, in the Twitter age, and you got all these, wannabe guy. I mean, I respect Albert Breer, but like he's another one that I've seen him get a lot wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, listen to what he said. Look at what he said. He didn't say that the Eagles were going after Jimmy. He said he could see them going after him.
He sees the dots.
Can I be honest with you? And can I be honest with you? The overreaction in itself is an overreaction. But my point is if that was actually true, how dumb would the Eagles look? Because if you're going to be going after Jimmy Garoppolo when you have quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers out there that everyone's like saying, oh, we shouldn't go after them, but now all of a sudden they're going to go after Jimmy Garoppolo. How dumb does that look, first of all, for the Eagles? And how stupid are some of these fans that are saying, go get Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, really?
Yeah, I mean,
wake up.
So Jimmy Garoppolo. So everyone says, well, you don't want to commit your cap space to Russell Wilson and the draft capital. So it would take you 2 of this year's first-round picks and $35 million of your cap space to get Russell Wilson here. Jimmy Garoppolo's over $25 million in cap space and still going to cost you a first-round pick or 2. What the hell would people do? Yeah, look,
people I don't think sometimes people don't think.
Yeah, they just see the headlines. They just read the headlines and they don't actually read the actual stories and the reporting. I didn't realize this, but I saw a report over the weekend that Howie Roseman's in the last year of his contract. That he's I'm sure by the season starting, he's going to get an extension, of at least 2 or 3 more years. But you think Jeffrey Lurie's going to extend Howie Roseman if he trades multiple picks and brings Jimmy Garoppolo in here over Jalen Hurts?
I mean, how laughable would that be? That's my point. Like,
I sound normal saying I would on Overreaction Mondays. I always say, go get Russell Wilson. I only say it on Mondays, but I sound normal saying, go get Russell Wilson when you're bringing up Jimmy Garoppolo. And look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a really good game managing type quarterback. He is. I mean, he's played in a lot of playoff games. He's played in more playoff games than some other guys in this league, but he's not somebody you invest draft capital.
But that's exactly what they're saying about Jalen Hurts' his ceiling is. People are saying that Jalen Hurts' ceiling is a game manager type quarterback. So then why would you go and get another game manager?
That costs $20 million.
Use your head, people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, seriously. I mean,
it just boggled my mind how over the top everybody started freaking out. You had people against it, like obviously we would be. But you also had people saying how great it would be to bring Jimmy Garoppolo in here. And like they're ready to print the jerseys with Garoppolo's name. Yeah, I mean, this is a great one. I do want to touch on this Howie Roseman. I don't know about you, Jason. I did not realize that he was, in the end of his contract right now. Do you think Jeffrey Lurie and the front office is waiting to see how this draft goes before they extend him? Because you don't really see GMs or coaches go into a season as a lame duck, position. Lame duck, for those that don't know, last year of a deal, you normally extend them. And normally GMs are extended by this point. But him not getting extended by this point kind of tells me maybe Jeffrey Lurie said, let's see how this draft goes. Let's see how the public perception is of the draft and my feelings on the draft before we give him that 2 or 3 year extension.
I think it's definitely in question. I think Jeff Lurie, as much as, we called Howie Roseman like the prodigal son,
yeah,
basically like his adopted son.
Yep.
I still think that there is a little bit of concern there with like some of the things that have happened, especially the draft.
Right.
And I think that probably is the reason why it hasn't been already done. I think it's going to get done. I don't see, Howie Roseman like getting fired or.
Yeah, I figured once he hired Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman basically gave himself 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years with Sirianni as the head coach. And if Sirianni fails, then Jeffrey Lurie would have to get rid of Howie and Nick Sirianni.
Yeah,
reboot it. So they're going to give him, even if the draft isn't perfect this year, they're going to give Howie Roseman at least this year and next year with Nick Sirianni and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out because, like you said, the prodigal son. I can't believe Jeffrey Lurie is letting his child, go on into the last year of his deal at this point. That's kind of. I honestly I had no clue. When I saw that come up on my screen this weekend, I was like, wow, I had no idea.
But then again, you know how like Jeff Lurie or how Howie Roseman kind of coined the phrase, the Eagles are a quarterback factory.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff Lurie in his press conference coined the phrase that they are also a GM factory. Remember that? Like how all these people from the Eagles front office have went on and become all these great GMs, which to me, that's I got to be honest with you. I think that's kind of like narcissistic to say that because I don't see that. I mean, I don't see it, but apparently they believe they're very high on themselves.
But see, the thing is, and it's something that's been brought up on this show by multiple guests and multiple commenters, is that, while we've only won 1 Super Bowl, the continued level of success of the Eagles organization since Jeffrey Lurie took over this team. I mean, we could probably count the amount of seasons we missed the playoffs on one hand since Jeffrey Lurie took over. I mean, Andy Reid was in the playoffs almost every single year. Chip Kelly made it, 1 of the 3 years he was here, but he had a winning record 2 of the 3 years. Doug Peterson only missed the playoffs twice out of his 5 years. Nick Sirianni, first year, makes the playoffs. This is a team and an organization with a successful track record. So other owners see that while every team and every owner wants to win a Super Bowl, the one thing they want more than anything is continued success. Because the more success you have, the more playoff tickets you sell, the more jerseys, all the other ancillary things, using my word again, that happen from being, a successful organization long term. That's what they want. So they see that. So they pull the people from the Eagles for that reason.
Yeah, like I said, I just think they're stuck on themselves, like to the fact that they believe they think more high of themselves than they really are. I mean, because let's face it, we could sit there and be critical of the way that the drafts have been, and yes, while there have been the diamonds in the roughs that obviously Jordan Mailatas and there's been quite a few of them, but the problem is when you have criminal mistakes with your first rounders, that's why teams have problems of sustaining success. You could say that they've had continued success, but in reality, if you look at this team, the way that it's built every year on a year-by-year basis, you're not getting enough production out of your draft picks to help your team go to that next level. And the mistakes that you made at the wide receiver position in specifically have really put your team back a long way. Because think about it, like had he not missed on those, and I know it's every year we say this, and every year it's the J Jaw and the over DK Metcalf and the Jefferson over Rager, but you have to say it because it's such a critical issue that he screwed up. Like if he would have just gotten 2 of those right, like. Then, like last year, and I love Devonta Smith, but maybe you don't even have to draft Devonta Smith. Maybe you take Micah Parsons, and then you have the defensive position, in a better position now. My point is that realistically, those misses were so tragic to the team, and it just makes you wonder, like, what the hell was this guy thinking? I mean, when you go and you draft a Jalen Reagor, who most people thought wasn't even warranted at the first round, a lot of people were saying he was a second round at best, and you just see that he has not developed. You're in year now, what, going into year 3 of him?
Yep.
And he's still no better than what he was. He hasn't shown 1 ounce of growth. I mean, and yes, that is coaching, but maybe he's just not growable. Maybe he's just not going to be worthy of what he was picked at. So I don't know. I just look at that and those mistakes, and I can't sit there and specifically say that Howie Roseman is a great GM. Do I think he's good? Yes, I think he's very good at certain things in his job. But I'm not ready to sit here and say, well, Howie Roseman's the best GM in the NFL, because he's not. He's not the best.
I don't think anybody's saying he's the best, but they just see the continued level of success from the organization, and that's why his that maybe these other organizations, they see the continued success, but they also see Howie Roseman's flaws and his success and his hits, and they're like, well, somebody behind the scenes is pulling the trigger. The Joe Douglases of the world, the other guys, and that's why these guys get poached, because these other organizations are like, well, these are the guys that are actually doing the real work behind the scenes around Howie Roseman, and that's why he gets plucked.
Honestly, if you want my honest opinion, I think that this is a huge year for him. Whether or not, even if, because maybe that's why he hasn't been re-signed. Like, there has to be something to it, because generally, like you said, usually they are. And maybe it'll happen. Maybe this week we'll get word Howie Roseman extended.
Yeah.
But my point is that this is a huge, huge, huge year for Howie Roseman. You have the 3 first-rounders. You have the decision to make, whether you're going to make a decision now or are you going to give Jalen another year. I mean, I know they've already said they are, but like you said, they could say that, and 2 weeks later they could trade for Aaron Rodgers. But my point is there's so many things that he has to do right this year. Like, that's the biggest thing, is the quarterback, the 3 first-rounders. What are you going to do? Are you going to use them all? Are you going to pick 3 defensive guys like a lot of, angry fans want? Or are they going to do what you say and you try to be the voice of reason here and always go with what does Howie do? Yep. So those are all question marks. And then, oh, by the way, how's free agency going to go down? Because that's coming up, right? That's before the draft. Yep. You're only, a month away from free agency, less than a month.
We got a lot of cap space to spend.
So I'm very curious as to how this is going to go this offseason, and it's definitely extremely important for Howie Roseman to, he could really make or break himself this year, right. I believe. Right. Anyway,
let's move on from Eagles. I didn't know we were going to turn this into a Howie Roseman conversation. It kind of just popped up out of nowhere. We went from Jimmy Garoppolo to Howie Roseman like that. I want to have some fun to end the show, a little fun discussion. Hopefully some of the guys watching and people watching, chime in on this one here. Obviously, later this week, James Harden will be making his debut for the Philadelphia 76ers. Huge, massive trade. And I started thinking about some of the other big trades in Philadelphia sports history, good and bad, okay? And I want to know, Jason, I've got a couple up on my screen here that I think are big deals. But do you have any trades in Philadelphia sports history that you think are just like your favorites, your big deals to you, like change the trajectory of a team? What would you say are some of your favorite trades of all time?
Well, I thought about this before I even knew you were going to do this as a topic on the show. I was thinking about it since the deal went down, like what were the best trades that were ever made, and obviously this is trades, not actual free agents. Because to me, Bryce Harper was free agent, so that's not a trade. Mm-hmm. I would say that my personal favorite was Roy Halladay, the acquisition of Roy Halladay. And I have a lot of reasons for that. Yep. I mean, even every time I bring up his name, I sometimes almost cry because, obviously he passed way too soon. And, obviously, they, confirmed that it was, drugs and he had struggled mightily with mental illness. And that I'm a huge advocate for that. Mm-hmm. But when they made that trade for Roy Halladay,
Which,
like,
can I real quick? All we gave up was Travis Darnone, Kyle Drabeck, and Michael Taylor. That was it.
yeah. So I just remember it vividly when we did make the final, because let's backtrack. So the year prior, they wanted Roy Halladay for a long time, but they kind of weren't able to get anything done. And remember, they got Cliff Lee, and then of course
Marsons and Donald and Marsons and Donald catcher.
Yeah, so the Cliff Lee trade happened a year prior, so they got Cliff Lee, but they wanted Halladay the whole time. I mean, Amaro was saying like that was on his agenda.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've heard Amaro actually speak about it a lot. Like, I know he's on WIP. I know I don't really listen to it much. I do like Ruben Amaro. I think Ruben Amaro is extremely good at his job and got a lot of criticism and harsh criticism. But
he came in at the wrong time. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, yes, he inherited a lot from Ed Wade, but he also did a lot of good and tried to get the team where it had to be. And unfortunately, because of injuries, it never transpired. But you can't say it was a lack of trying. I mean, when you go and you get an arm, when the Phillies acquired Roy Halladay, he was the best pitcher in the game. He was the best at his position. He was basically, the elite guy that, was supposed to put us over the top. And he could not have had a better year. So to me, that's why that was my favorite move, just because of everything that happened. I mean, they trade for him. He goes 21 and I believe 8, wins the Cy Young. Then he has the no-hitter, or he has the perfect game in the regular season and then the no-hitter. I mean, you can't get any more storybook than that. Obviously, they didn't win the playoffs. That would have been the only other more storybook ending than that. Exactly what you said. They gave up very little in the trade, and you got a premier guy. I would say my other favorite was, obviously, you mentioned it in the beginning of the show, was Terrell Owens. I mean, who couldn't love that deal? I mean, when that happened, I remember like people were like, we got T.O. Like, it was just all over, and it was just like everyone was going insane.
Which is crazy, because that was a whole complicated mess there, because they were originally the 49ers trading him to Baltimore. He said he didn't want to play in Baltimore, so they had to pull that trade back and work out. All we gave up for T.O. was a 5th-round pick and defensive end Brandon Whiting. That's all we had to give up. I mean, for a Hall of Fame wide receiver in the prime of his career. I love Don's here. I mean, I'll get back to Freddie's in a second, but the trade to bringing in Lindros, what would have happened if we did not make that? I know, what was his name? The other guy, the guy we traded away on draft night. Forsberg. Peter Forsberg. Peter Forsberg, all-time great as well, but also, just like Eric Lindros, had a lot of injury issues in his career. I remember the Lindros trade because what year was that? What year was the Eric Lindros trade in? I'm going to Google it.
90 or 91? Hold on.
Yeah, something like that. I was a young child, and I just remember I used to deliver. My dad used to have like 3 part-time jobs delivering newspapers, on the weekends, and I would get up at 2 a.m. with him, load his van, and go start doing the run. And we would listen to. So 1992, he's saying, is when it happened.
Yeah, it was 91.
So I was 11 years old when that trade happened, and I just remember being in the car, and we used to listen to WIP as we were delivering newspapers, the overnight shifts, and they announced the trade during the overnight shift there. And I just remember me and my dad were like, "Oh man, this young kid, this is gonna be great for hockey," and whatnot, and great memory. But yeah, I love this one here too, because bringing in John LeClair, Eric Desjardins, and I don't even know who the other guy is, for Mark Recchi. John LeClair pairing him with Eric Lindros, it was major. I mean, that Legion of Doom was great. Drew, save yours. I'm not putting your comment on the screen just yet. We're gonna get that one in a second, because that is actually on my list, Drew. Hang tight on that one. But yeah, I mean, some of these trades are really good, and the Flyers ones are great too. I love the T.O. one. I love the Roy Halladay one. Even the Cliff Lee one. Trading away. We talk about this all the time. When people make trades, they give up these prospects. And if you look at the prospects we gave up for Roy Halladay, Drabeck, Darnone, Michael Taylor, the prospects we gave up for Cliff Lee, Jason Donald, Lou Marston. Actually, Carlos Carrasco turned into a half-decent pitcher and is still pitching to this day in baseball. Some of these guys that you give up. I mean, when we traded away Cliff Lee, we got Philippe Belmont, Tyson Gillis, and J.C. Ramirez. These guys, prospects are just so bad. The Darius Slay deal was that. That's a
prospects are suspects.
What's that?
Prospects Prospects are suspects.
Absolutely agree with you on that. 110%. That's really fair. But one I wanted to bring up, and Drew commented on or put it in the comments. It's almost like he can see all the tabs that are open on my screen. That this trade,
Reading your mind.
he is literally reading my mind. If this trade doesn't happen, we might never get Joel Embiid. If this trade doesn't fail so badly, the process may never happen. If this trade doesn't go down, the Sixers might have been stuck in purgatory for a decade longer. And when I say purgatory, basketball purgatory are the teams that are stuck in that 7th, 8th, 9th seed where they're just good enough to barely make the playoffs or fight and then get knocked out in the first round. And that's what we were at that point. And the Sixers traded away Andre Iguodala basically. It was a complicated 4-team deal with Denver, the Lakers. Who was the other team? I had it up on the screen here. It was the Lakers and the Magic. We also gave away Mo Harkless, who magically somehow is still playing in the NBA. I'm not sure how. Most people don't even know Mo Harkless was a Sixer at one point. And Nikolai Vucevic, another guy still playing in the NBA, made a couple All-Star games, in his career. But that trade alone started the downward trajectory. First off, that season of when will Andrew Bynum play and when will he not play. His hairstyles, his hair colors was more entertaining than him on the court because he never actually got on the court. But that trade was so bad, they had to bring in Sam Hinkie after that and start the process. So to me, the Andrew Bynum trade is one of my favorite trades that ever went down because it started. We get what we get now, and I'm thanking Andrew Bynum for that now. This is a great question, Parcero. What if it worked out? I never actually thought about what would have happened if that happened. If Bynum, how good could we have been at that point? I don't know. That's crazy. Mark, man, chiming in. Ryan Sandberg trade was bad too. That is right. Ryan Sandberg is one of my favorite non-Philly baseball players of all time. This is what I love. I love these comments coming in here. These are great. The Ryan Sandberg trade is often forgotten about, but that Hall of Fame player was a Philly early in his career. And Moses, I knew somebody would bring up Moses, but only people that are going to bring up Moses Malone trade. I mean, that is how we won the 83 title. We don't win the 83 title without getting Moses Malone. But we're all too young. I mean, I don't even remember that. I'm 41. I don't remember Moses Malone in Philly, really. So that's a great one. But back to the Andrew Bynum trade there, Jason. Thoughts on that being an important trade, even though it was such a bomb of a trade?
I mean, obviously, you just nailed it. It was definitely an important trade because of the situation that occurred after the fact. But, I mean, I would say that, I'm trying to think of where it ranks as important trades. It's probably.
I think if we win an NBA title, if the process wins an NBA title, if the process equals a title, at some point, I think the Andrew Bynum trade goes down as one of the 3 biggest trades in Philadelphia sports history because the process doesn't start. Because like Parcero says, if it worked out, who knows where we'd be right now. The process makes a title at some point. I think that Andrew Bynum goes top 3 of all time.
I mean, you're saying top 3 as far as
importance in that team's, history.
So is that what this realistically is, this conversation?
Yeah, like what are your most important trades of all time? Yeah.
I thought it was your favorite.
Well, favorites, most important. I mean, they all kind of link. I'm changing it on the fly right there. I changed it from favorites to most important.
I still look at all those deals that were made, and I still have James Harden. Obviously, the story's yet to be written, but acquiring James Harden, being a top, I have him as a top 5 player. I know a lot of people say he's not top 5 anymore, but he's at least at best or at least top 10 in the whole league. Yep. So I don't know if Roy Halladay was necessarily top 10 in Major League Baseball. Probably at the time, if you looked at pitching and hitting, he was probably close to that. I look at other guys, Terrell Owens, was he a top 10 NFL player? He was definitely a top receiver in the league. Yep. So, I mean, all of these are huge. I mean, I look at the Terrell Owens one being probably the one that you looked at it and you said like the girlfriend that got away, like, because if that could have worked out, like we might have won multiple titles if that McNabb TO dynamic and TO wanting out and want more money. I mean, because remember, we only had him. It was so short lived. We had him for the year and a year and a half, and he was gone.
This is another great trade comment right here. Brad Lidge getting traded to the Phillies. I just had to bring it up to see exactly what we gave
that
up.
May be the most important ever because
it
won a title.
So we also got Eric Bruntlett in that deal, who scored a major run in that playoff run.
Won you the title.
Yeah, Eric Bruntlett and Brad Lidge. We gave up Michael Bourne, Jeff Geary, and Mike Costanza. George Costanza, is that George Costanza from Seinfeld's brother? I'm not sure. I remember Jeff Geary. He was a bad pitcher. Michael Bourne was basically old school. What's the kid on the Phillies now that just is fast and gets hurt all the time?
Roman Quinn.
Yeah, basically Michael Bourne was the Roman Quinn of that era. But yeah, I mean, the Brad Lidge trade is
that probably
Daniel. Excellent. I'm going to put it back up on the screen.
Now that I'm thinking, I think that wins. I think that wins the conversation.
That might go up to number one.
I won a championship. You how can you quantify that deal? Won you a championship. Maybe the Phillies acquiring Pete Rose too. Nobody mentioned that.
Yeah,
Phil.
Yeah, no, I think I might have seen it. There were so many comments.
I'm saying, but Pete Rose, that obviously
Michael Bourne was better than Roman.
People forget. A lot of people forget that we traded for Pete Rose. I mean, that obviously that helped the title. So I look at deals that won a title. I mean, obviously Terrell Owens didn't win the title.
If we had an award for best comment of the show, I think Daniel would win best comment of the show. Absolutely. I know Freddie said 49 to 49. Absolutely. But I'm putting the Brad Lidge comment back up there. That wins the show right there for sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. Wow, damn, I totally forgot about Brett. How did I forget about that? So I don't even know. So
I don't think it's because you know what? It's not the flashy name. It's not the superstar.
It should be though. It should be the flashy.
Obviously, it should
49 to 49 and save opportunities that year. I mean, that was, yeah, he blew one save that year, the All-Star game. That is true.
How many saves did he have in the playoffs?
Oh, a few. I don't have the stats up. I wasn't prepared to talk Brad Lidge today.
4 or 5 he had in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean we don't win without Brad Lidge. That's fantastic. I'm just gonna wrap the show. I wanted to talk for like 2 minutes on the lockout. I'm just gonna save the lockout talk for tomorrow. What's this comment here? In any trade, you never want to get the package. If you get the best player, you win the trade. It's an absolutely fantastic comment there again, Don. Absolutely. But we're gonna leave this comment back up there as we wrap up this show. Excellent show. I didn't know where we were going to go today. We had lots of random topics to talk about today, but I think this was a really good show today. Great interaction from the viewers. Great interaction between me and you. This is Trending in the AM every Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. right here on DSM Media. As always, brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products. Check them out, manscaped.com. Promo code DSM at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. That was great. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do the rest of the week. Tomorrow, I didn't know. I sent out a message to a guy that I interact with a lot on Twitter, and I wanted to bring him on the show at some point. And I know tomorrow and Wednesday you weren't going to be on, so I reached out and I said, "Yo, you want to come on tomorrow? And be my co-host for the day?" He's like, "Absolutely." So I text you. I'm like, "Oh, do you know this guy at all?" And then you send me a message back saying, "Yo, he's like one of my best friends," and I had no idea. So Joe Bucci, I think is his thing on Twitter. He's going to be my co-host tomorrow. And what a small world that the guy I invite to come on the show is like one of your best friends.
He thought that I told you to invite him on. I know that. I know. And I was like, no, I didn't tell him. That's why I was like, I can't believe you didn't tell him. He didn't text me right away. And I'm like, dude, I would have texted you and said, I got invited on a podcast. Like, then I find out, like I said, I'm like, dude, that's my best friend.
Oh, that's
crazy.
So tomorrow, Joe Bucci making his debut on Trending in the AM. That'll be exciting. I don't know what to expect. I don't know him. Yeah, I was in your backyard, Mark, all day yesterday, hopping wineries yesterday, and I'm feeling the effects of wine hopping today. I'm too old to go winery hopping anymore. And for anybody that drinks wine knows that how you feel after drinking a lot of wine is totally different on how you drink, beer or liquor. So I'm feeling those effects today, big time, Mark. Anyway, we're going to wrap the show up here today. Another great episode. Make sure you are following us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Cannot stress that enough. Hit subscribe, hit thumbs up, hit notifications on. Follow us both on Twitter. I got to take the comment off to put it back up there. You can follow me on Twitter at Beard of Knowledge. You can follow Jason on Twitter at Mustaine3651. And follow Mark, our normal co-host on Mondays, at Mark with a C, Moscatelli. He just had some things to take care of today. Missed him today. We'll see him back hopefully next Monday. And make sure you're following DSM at DSM_media on Twitter. We're going to wrap the show up there for today. But as we end every show, Jason,
Go Birds.
go Birds!